this. These, what is that? Two seconds, guys. Like my stream just lagged so much for some reason, and I gotta resend the link on Twitter. So, can you guys hear me though? Hopefully, you guys can. Fine now. All right. I think I was lagging, or I don't know if I hit the go live button, but that is weird. Let me just redo that. All right. All right, that's good. Perfect. How are y'all doing? Sorry for that small little bug I had. But yeah, we're gonna do a giveaway today. Pretty happy with my day. Not gonna lie, I took one trade being one winner. Let me just show y'all exactly what happened right here. I'm gonna put my chat on the left. That's gonna be good, actually. OBS here. Chat right here. All right, that's good. All right, so I ended up taking one trade today, and it was this short all the way back towards this low and this sell side, which was really good. Let me just show y'all exactly how much I made on this trade. I'm gonna log in my Tradeify accounts into my journal, just so you guys see. Open journal. So this is how much I made today. Just drag that right here. That's how much I made today. So 5.8. I ended up taking this trade with 2 contracts, which was a really good decision of mine. First thing, I wanted to enter max, like my full size right here on the breaker, but unfortunately, not unfortunately, like fortunately actually, I waited for extra confirmation. I was like, it could open higher really aggressively, so entered one con right here. Once it hit that order block and started displacing down, I added exactly here on this line. So my average was around like this, and then wrote it back down. So pretty good trade. Yeah, entered with 2 minis. Yeah. So pretty happy about this. Not looking necessarily to put more risk on today. That's for sure. It's already a really good day for me. And yeah. Yeah, we don't see a chart, I know. So right here, I can put this. So that's how much I'm up on the day. Let me just put that here. So yeah, if you guys didn't know, I'm always doing one giveaway per stream. And if we get, how much was that? If we get 130 likes, I'm gonna do a straight to funded account giveaway. If it's 105, I'm gonna do a growth. And if it's 80, I'm gonna do an advanced. So yeah, that's pretty much it. So you guys need to like the stream. So right now, what am I seeing? Or in terms of inversions, let's just go back on the day and see which opportunities actually were pretty decent. I saw a really good opportunity right here on the shorts. You guys already know, like I'm not gonna say that every single time, but you guys already know that my personal strategy is a little bit different than how I show it on YouTube. Let's say what the strategy that I show on YouTube is pretty much a strategy that I see working super well, but I don't necessarily trade. All right, I trade it differently basically. I wait for more confirmations and use the power of three a little bit more than just reaction plays. So let's see here, we had this buy side liquidity, which was the pre-market highs at 7 a.m. If I go here, we swept those highs. And as soon as we swept those highs here, look at the reaction that we had on the downside, 942. Look at this candle. It was a nice inversion for value gap after the buy side liquidity sweep. So you needed to go on the 2-minute time frame to make sure that there wasn't a gap here on the 2-minute. So let's say I go here on the replay, and then on the 2-minute chart right here, it was the V kind of V signature play, which is the fourth candle disrespect the fair value gap creation. So 1, 2, 3, the fourth candle disrespect it. This is something we see a lot in the current price action that we are in. I don't know for what reason. It's not necessarily something that we see often, like we saw often in the previous years. But right now in the current price action that we are, there are a lot of opportunities like those. So it was a nice short. If you wanted a better RR, you could have waited for the breaker play and then shorted for the most recent lows here. This was a good play in my opinion for the shorts this morning, especially knowing that, let's say at 9:30, it should be a fake out. Like this, like the framework you would use behind would be that 9:30 is the Judah swing, so open high, and it's just a manipulation, and the real move should be in the opposite direction. So these are that's the trade that I saw today. That was really, really good. Then let me see, in terms of inversion for value gaps, then we saw like basically inversion for value gaps are the earliest entry you can take before having the extra confirmation. Okay, the extra confirmation would be the breaker. You guys know that I like entering in when I have all three paired up. So when I have a breaker, an order block, and a fair value gap usually. So I like to pair all three PD arrays. So we sweep buy side, we create a bearish order block, bearish breaker, a fair value gap right here between those. If I go on the 5-minute chart, you guys see right here, this is my breaker, this is my order block, and on the 5, this is my fair value gap. So I had all three paired up to see some downside for a nice short. So this was the play, but usually what will happen is that the inversion for value gap play is the most aggressive play before I truly enter. That's usually it. Let me just put my chat right here, because if not, I'm just going to miss on so many. So 50 likes already. Come on. That's good. That's not bad. I respect it. You guys need to be subscribed though. If you guys are not subscribed, you're not in the giveaway. Do you copy trade? Yes, I copy trade through Tradeify free trade copier. So pretty easy. I used to do Replicanto, but right now I'm just focused on my 550k Lightning accounts. And yeah, so if you're copy trading multiple firms together, then Replicanto is a good copy trader to have. But let's say for me right now, I'm only copy trading accounts from the same firm, so I don't need that. Amos, do you only look at pin bars for liquidity sweeps or multiple rejections of pins and bodies closing lower? Pin bars. Do you only look at pin bars? Oh, okay. Pin bar means like a candle that sweeps the previous candles, let's say low, and then closes back inside the range. I definitely have more than one model to enter on, but of course pin bars is a pretty good confirmation. Only trading pin bars though is without the deeper concepts inside of it is pretty hard though. But usually, to know if it's a good liquidity pool, having a fair value gap just below that liquidity pool is what you should look for. So let's say in this case, let's say I go on the 15-minute chart, a good liquidity pool would have been this low. Why? Because we generated sell side liquidity and we have a fair value gap just to our left right here. So if we can sweep the low and start rejecting it, then I tapped into a 15-minute gap plus rejected sell side. So really good. You use Tradeify to copy your trades? Yeah, that's what I use. Tradeify free trade copier. 58 likes, come on. Or not too much. I know and like the stream fucked up a little bit also. That may be the reason. So yeah. So in terms of inversion plays, really, let's say on the 15, if I take a look at this 15-minute chart, of course the gap was super far, but still, pretty a pretty good area to short in my opinion, above those highs in the morning, 7 a.m. So those two plays were pretty good in my opinion. So this 3-minute inverse right here, or this 2-minute right there, two good plays to go to the downside. Let me see if there was a good play to go to the upside. I don't see a really good play to go to the upside though. Yeah, not now. We'll see. That, let's say that tapped a gap perfectly and then started to push. This was not bad. I mean, let's say in terms of candlestick pattern, this was not bad. We accumulated manipulation and then started to distribute to the upside. This long, I'm actually dumb. This long was not bad also. again. So we had a lot of possible plays here inside this range just based on pure order flow of the 1, 2, 3, 5 inversion. Also here on the 3, pretty good inverse. I'll start the series, by the way. Where can I fucking... I'll start the series though, that I'll go over one good trade every single day, like 1, 2 A+ setups every single day on YouTube. I ran out of ideas. You know, I could do so many things, but yeah, I just don't want to be like everyone else. Do you enter when inversion is disrespected? The best play always would be to wait for the pullback. This would give you the best RR every time. But realistically, you just need to adapt to the market conditions. You need to be in touch with what's currently working, and sometimes it will be to enter at the close, sometimes it will be to enter on the pullback. That's pretty much it. It's not always going to be the same thing. You need a framework, and then you need to be able to adapt your entries. But what most people do is they focus so much on entries that they get burned in some market conditions that they should adapt their entries, because the market is breaking out way more than rejecting highs and lows. Are you taking your trades live, or do you sometimes take them when you're not streaming? I do take a lot of trades when I'm not streaming. Reasoning for it is because I have plays where it's super hard to either call out, or I have to manage my trade on the seconds chart and look at a lot of confirmations. So it's really hard to have a healthy mind doing both. Really, if I'm being truly honest, live trading like puts you an extra pressure on you for sure. It doesn't mean it's like the worst thing. It's all good. At the end of the day, like it's still not bad. There's worse things than that, but yeah. Why is my cam like this though? Wait, my cam is weird. All right, this looks better. Gotcha. Thanks. Thanks for your honesty. Yeah, welcome, bro. What's the win rate of your 15-minute fair value gap M1, M2, M3 IFVG model? Since it has a low risk to reward, the win rate should it's not exactly the same thing every single month, but if you know when to enter market and when to wait for a pullback, your statistics will definitely change. So it's depending on the person that actually trades it, but since the RR is low, then the win rate is above 62 to 65% depending on the market conditions. So yeah, some months it will be 80, some months it will be 62, some months it will be 73. So yeah, overall I would say over 65-ish is a sweet spot. Amos, do you only look for setup that repeat and trade the setup on any instrument, or do you find it better to trade one instrument and trade less? Yes, I find it way better to trade one instrument and take less trades. That's for sure, 100%. Reasoning for it is because basically the ticker that you will choose, depending on your edge, will make a whole difference in your statistics and in your edge. Let's say my edge, the way that I trade, it could work on a pair like gold, but I know it wouldn't be as good at all. So why would I try to trade something, why would I try to trade something that doesn't have the same exact expected value? And also the time that, basically, if you look at two markets, it's hard to know exactly which market you should have some rules on, or you should take out rules from. Let's say you have an edge, or is it, a strategy, and some adjustments that you will make for that strategy will possibly apply only to NQ and not to gold. So then it's gonna mix up your mind for no reason. You know what I mean? It's hard enough to trade one pair, in my opinion. Don't need to look at too many pairs. I think it's depending on how you trade and what's your data, for sure. Like, if I had good statistics on other pairs, I would have probably traded other pairs, but I don't have as statistics that are as good on other pairs. So yeah, my edge is really in NQ and only NQ, which is crazy. Like, I don't even have that kind of edge. I don't even have that kind of edge on ES, which is crazy to think about. It's like, yes, or even if I go on US 30, so the Dow, yes, I have edge, because the way that I trade is just something that is so repeatable and is how a candlestick work. It's the principle behind candlesticks, like a big theory behind it. But it's not as good on pairs that are not as volatile. That's just basically it. So good thing you asked that. I think a lot of people are looking at too many pairs at the same time, and yeah, just try to master one pair. It could be anything, but if you go on every single day, let's say you trade NQ, okay, you want to start trading NQ, you backtest NQ every single day, you forward test NQ every single day, you journal it, every single setup that you see, if you lose on them, you start trying to reverse engineer why you lost, why you would have won if you did something else, etc., etc. And with the time, you will build edge for sure. Like, it's a long process, but I think understanding how one pair actually moves is the best play in futures, though. Like, let's say you trade low cap stocks, you would need to trade more than one ticker, because you're basically, let's say, if you're trading stocks, you're trading fundamental gap ups or downs. So yeah, you frame your bias from the news that you received on the previous day or the previous week, which is totally different than what we're trading. What we're trading is futures, especially NQ and ES. There are tickers, there are indices that are ran by the biggest algorithms, the biggest whales. So this market is pretty efficient. If the market is pretty efficient, it means that it's hard to find edge, because NQ is always at its fair value. NQ and ES is always at its fair value, because as soon as there's an inefficiency in the market, basically, algorithms will snap back and catch those super fast. And humanly, it's hard to have edge, but it's definitely something that is doable. What should a beginner trade? Metals, indices, forex? Not forex. I would say not forex. To be honest, I don't know what you should trade. It's really depending on where do you live. Okay, so let's say you live in let's say you live in a country where you're like, when you wake up, like you would sleep when the New York session would be open. It's not as good for you to trade NQ and ES. All right, you would be trying to trade a pair that moves during the morning for you. All right, so depending on where you live, I would try to choose a pair that, if it's Asian session or London session, then try to choose a pair that moves, has liquidity inside the session. Did you take a trade today? Just joined. Also, can you show a good losing setup can look like? A good losing setup is exactly what a good winning setup looks like. It's the same exact thing. I have one from yesterday for sure, but yeah, the trade that I took was this one. All right, and yeah, so waited for buy side to be swept, the 10 a.m. to open high. We flipped below the opening price. I knew that if I entered right here on the 5-minute fair value gap, breaker, order block, I had a lot of chances of breaking lows and being early in a move that would end up being a bearish distribution. So it's basically the principle behind a candlestick. If you know a candle, let's say if you want to predict that a candle will close bearish, and usually a candle that closes bearish accumulates at first, creates the high of that candle first, flips below the open, holds the breaker, distributes down, and then closes, then you want to be in right here or inside the inverse right here. And what I did, I entered on the breaker right here, predicting that we were going to have a bearish distribution, and this right here was going to be the high of the H1/H4 candle, which is exactly what happened. So you see right here, we swept the previous candle's high, then we flipped below the open. This is where I took my trade, because I had enough confidence that this would be the high of the H1 candle. Is intuition real? Do you feel like intuition is a part of your strat? That's a good question. I really don't have the same. One thing about me is that I don't have the same point of view of trading as a lot of people. I don't really. I think, intuition is a real thing, but I don't think you should use intuition as a reason to cope for your loss. And there's not always a reason behind your losses, right? And if you can choose any system, and it's not always going to be profitable. You will have drawdown periods, you will have hard times in the system, and you will need to understand that intuition is another word just for gambling, in my opinion. Because if you use intuition and you're like, okay, right now on this trade I will not enter, but I cannot tell you why, it doesn't fit right for me. I'm like, you could always quantify or put words behind why you didn't enter a certain trade, in my opinion. So that's one thing about me, is like, if you use discretion, intuition and stuff, you're gonna be having a hard time with your psychology, because your psychology is gonna play tricks on you. It's gonna be like, okay, damn, you didn't take a good trade, while you just respected your plan. But since you have that that line where you think that intuition will give you some edge, you will always end up finding a reason on why you lost the trade, why you should have taken the opposite trade, etc. So it's just like a circle where you cannot find consistency, basically. So intuition is a real thing. Is it for me? No, because I know my mental cannot handle that, if that makes sense. But I know that some people are really good with that. They're good with the intuition. They are good discretionary traders. Of course there are. I don't deny that. It's just, for me, it's not the approach that I would take, because I always end up taking the worst possible decision for some reason. And if I'm gonna be married to some bias and then find reasons on why I lost when there's just no reason. No edge has 100% win rate. Simple as that. My mic is a Blue Yeti, but it sounds really good because I put the NVIDIA broadcast on my PC. So like that has noise suppression, and that does sound good actually. We swept this sell side liquidity on this 1 hour 15-minute chart. What I would look for, is signs of weakness right here to trade back inside an unfilled gap. That would be good. Good sweep here. There's no inverse here though on the 1 minute. Thank you going to August 4 new day opening gap. I don't use the new day opening gap or like new week opening gap. I think they're a good concept, but yeah, I don't use them. I only use the power of 3. What do I think is going to happen here? We're going to fill this unfilled 5-minute gap. Yeah, but the returning on the question that you asked about, should you just only trade something that is repeatable? I would say you just need to find a framework that is repeatable, a way to know where price is most likely going to go on the higher time frame. And once you know this, and once you have an accurate way to read it, then you dig deeper into how you would enter, the timing of that entry, etc. But before that, scaling down to the 1-minute chart is such a bad idea. But that's what we were told to do, let's say us ICT traders, like to go on the 1-minute chart. But it's a dangerous place. It's not, there's a lot of noise on the 1-minute chart and a lot of reasons why you would lose a trade where you cannot even find a reason behind them. There's a lot of things, a lot of orders that get filled on the 1-minute chart, and the market moves aggressively sometimes, and you can't necessarily find a reason why you lost. It's a hard, NQ and ES are hard assets to trade. So finding a framework, I would say, is the best thing you could do, and going on to the day every single day with the same approach. Any specific reasons on why I don't use new day, new week opening gap? Because it's not part of my strategy, basically. As simple as that. It's just I was never really interested in trading something that had a high risk to reward. And I still genuinely believe that it's for you to find an edge with high risk to reward that doesn't require discretion over the long run is extremely hard. Is extremely hard, because the higher your RR, the more your edge can fade. Because let's say moves on the higher time frame, they're basically dictated by fundamentals and a lot of stuff, right? But if the market starts chopping for some reason and is really range bound, then your high RR is not going to work most likely. If you have a 1 to 4, 1 to 5, and let's say it chops for 3 months straight for some reason, then you lose edge in those market conditions. One thing I like about low risk to reward is that since you're only trying to go for a small piece of the pie, finding edge and finding real positive expected value over the long run is so much more doable, because you can make money when the market is chopping, trending, anything. So that's why. In your opinion, what's the best higher time frame rich remove noise? 15-minute. You need a lot of higher time frames to find your let's say it's all depending on how you trade. Let's say you're a scalper. I think you need the 15-minute chart. If you look at a 15-minute chart, you have a really good understanding of where price is most likely going to go in the next few minutes. That's what you want to see. Okay, going on a daily chart for a scalper like me doesn't have any impact on my trading, or a 4-hour chart. Why? Because I'm going to get out at 10 points, 10, 15 points. I'm not trying to look for a daily bias. I know how hard it is to catch a whole daily distribution. It's literally impossible over the long run. Like, for you to be able to catch the daily highs and lows through 5 years of work, man, you gotta be a demon, for real. So yeah, I just scale down to those lower time frames and find quick scalps here and there, my piece of the pie, and get out. And I think like this approach is removing so much noise for me, like so much noise. And I know a lot of people are not gonna agree, but who cares about the way that you trade? Who cares about if your system has a 1 to 2, 1 to 3, 1 to 1, 0.8 to 1? Who cares? Who cares if you trade RSI, liquidity sweeps, turtle soups? Nobody cares. Really. I think this is a good long right here, actually. Pretty good long. I think price has a lot of chances of going back towards this internal gap right here. So long right here at 44, it will possibly open high. But my draw would become like this 15-minute gap based on this breaker. Really good trade here. 100%. We'll possibly just literally fill the whole gap here, all the way here. Two seconds, I'm coming back. But yo, how many likes do we have? 69. We need 100 and what did I say? 120. 120 for a straight to funded account. So start, reposting the links and stuff, because it's gonna be hard, man. I'm just gonna give away an advanced. What is that? I have plenty of accounts to give away, so lock in, guys. I'm coming back. Oh shit, my fault. I'm actually retarded. Yeah, so you asked um if there was any spreads in futures. No, there's no spreads. There's a fee you need to pay every time you put on a contract, but that's it. You guys should be able to hear me right now. Even though you muted, we agree. How much is that from risk? 20. You know, I'm just gonna enter with one micro just to, you know, for risk. I'll tell you that this is the trade that I think will work because I'm already done for the day. That's why I don't want to put risk on, but I genuinely know that this high is gonna be taken out. So that's why I'm giving y'all this. I don't want to enter heavy, but this is like a perfect trade. Like I have so much faith in that. Yeah, told y'all. But yeah, just didn't want to enter on that though. But this trade was insane. But you see, the framework behind is okay. We swept sell side. We cannot close a singular handle below the low. All right, perfect. I know that we swept sell side, so I'm bullish. Then we created a bullish breaker. Knowing that we just created a bullish breaker, I know that this zone right here will be super strong for us to create new highs. All right, perfect. That's my second, framework. And then I created a bearish 15-minute fair value gap right here. If I'm rejecting sell side and I create a bearish gap on the way down, it means that this level right here in price has such low volume because sellers, were super aggressive on the way down, that when price will have enough fuel, we'll sweep sell side, we'll have enough fuel to go back to rebalance inside that gap, inside this low volume. Basically, fair value gaps, how do I view them? I view them as targets, and I view them as areas where we can potentially reverse from, right? So there are areas where there are a lot of either buyers or sellers on the higher time frame ready to defend their position, or they're a target because there's a lot of orders sitting there. This is how I view fair value gaps. Yeah, I told y'all like it was gonna be fast. Like those are the kind of scalps that I really like taking. Like even if it's a quick scalp in and out, it's still 20 points. At the end of the day, like do you actually need more than 20 points? You could just enter with that with one mini and you're done for the day. Actually yeah. But a lot of people, let's say, are gonna long breakers or understand, the breaker pattern. But understanding the breaker pattern is not enough. You need to have a target that has a lot of chances of being hit. In this case, we were sweeping sell side. We had an unfilled 15-minute gap. Perfect. This zone right here, we have so much more chances of filling this gap right here than going back towards the most recent low. That's just as simple as that. So that's why, let's say, this was a good trade. What's your session actually, or do you trade from 9:30 to? I don't. I don't have. Let's say. I only trade New York session, so from 9:30 to 3:30, right, p.m. Yes, if I don't see any opportunities all the way to p.m. session, I will still look for them. If I take one trade though, usually I'm out. So let's say today I took one full size trade, which netted me 1.2k on 5 accounts. which is $5,800. If you're looking for trades after that, like, what are you doing? You know, like, why am I going to put risk on if I already won on the day? Let's just go on to another day. I decided to enter my full size on that day. So that's it. Walk out with a win. And if I lose, I lose. But I know there's going to be another opportunity on the week, and yeah. So we're 65. We're at 72 likes. Not bad, not bad. With our technical issues also. You know what I'm saying? What time is it? 2 p.m. Where I really want to give away that straight to funded account. Come on, guys. What's your full size? You always risk the same amount. Usually, like, I'm trying something new right now where I have exponential, bet sizing, where I risk less on, bad setups and risk more on really good setups. And if it's a really good setup, let's say like today or last Friday where I lost in front of y'all, it's gonna be $1,200 of risk per account. So 1.2K times 5. So should be 6K of risk. Okay, 6K of risk, but I have 30K in drawdown basically, because I have $6,000 of drawdown times 5 accounts. You have a breakdown on how to identify change in a state of delivery. Really good question. All right, a change in a state of delivery is when you close above the series of down close candles that created a sweep of liquidity, okay, or that broke structure to the downside. Let's say in this case, right, a change in a state of delivery would be confirmed by this candle. Why? Because we had a low, a high, a lower low. Perfect. So now, if I take a look at this right here, okay, this structure, what is this? The last up move before we broke structure to the downside. This zone right here is called a bearish order block. So this zone right here, framework wise, you should respect this zone to create new lows. All right, this is where sellers will defend their position to create new lows. Perfect. But if you disrespect this area and you close above the opening prices of the last series of up close candles before the sweep, okay, then this is where you have your change in a state of delivery. So there's two concepts. There is the change in a state of delivery, or the breaker. Okay, the breaker is when you close above the wick here, so that would be your breaker. But the change in a state of delivery is like a confirmation that you get before the breaker, so you don't even need to close above those wicks right here. If you close above those wicks, it's a breaker. If you close above the opening price right here, so let's say it's a high, a lower low. Let's say it's a high, low, high, lower low. Okay, if there's a wick here, if you close above the wick, it's a full-on breaker. This is a full-on breaker. But if you close above the opening price of, the series of up close candles before the sweep, then this is called a change in a state of delivery. This is like the earliest move you can enter on. So that's basically it. The difference between a change in a state of delivery and a breaker is just it's a earlier entry. It's an earlier entry basically. So that would be your change in a state of delivery. Let's say in this case, all right, if you wanted to have a full-on breaker right here, you need to close above this high. Okay, why? Because it's a high, it's a low, high, lower low. But let's say it's this high and it has a wick, all right? And it has a wick, you see? But if I close above the opening price right here, this is a change in a state. So CISD right here. But if I close above this, it's a breaker. But you don't necessarily need all those concepts, to be honest. That's one thing about trading, though. And someone I talked about that with someone in my Discord. He was telling me about the fact that he wanted to have a mentor because there was just so much information down there, and he didn't have the time to confirm which information was actually true and which information wasn't. And I was like, damn, that's real, man. You're That's exactly what's happening inside this industry, is that you don't know exactly which information down there is actually real. So you need to verify for yourself. But if you don't have an insane amount of time, then how many videos are you going to watch before finding real concepts? Even if you watch ICT videos, they're 4-hour videos. If you have a full-time job, kids and stuff, like, bro, you're cooked. You don't have time for that shit, you know? And especially ICT, they're just concepts, you know? They're a framework. We still need a strategy inside that framework. You know what I mean? You still need to understand the timing. So it's such a long process. So for you to speed run that, it's for sure a mentor. 2 p.m. retrace what you think. I don't know. That's always what I'm gonna say to a lot of people when they're gonna ask me, "Oh, what's the next move?" I don't know. I only know what's gonna happen when my edge shows up. I have no clue where the market is going, and if someone tells you, "Oh, the market is going there," he has no clue what he's talking about. He could be right, but why didn't you enter the trade though if you knew market is gonna be there, where it was gonna go there? He didn't, because he doesn't actually know that price is gonna go there. ICT videos are so long because Michael rents too much. Yeah. I mean, I didn't watch those. It's really the work that you're putting in behind understanding deeper into those concepts. Let's say if you take like just 2-3 concepts, like I gave y'all, let's say on in YouTube. If you take fair value gaps, inversion fair value gaps, and liquidity. Once you sweep sell side, all right, what's usually happening? You're gonna, let's say you go on 2025 and you're like, okay, these are the 3 concepts I want to find an edge with. All right, I'm gonna mark out all the highs and lows from 9:30 to 12:30. This is, let's say, the time that you want to trade, and you're gonna take a look at what's happening. Okay, this is what's happening once we sweep this low. We draw back towards an unfilled gap. All right, how many times did this happen in the last year? Then you're gonna watch, boom, boom, happened a lot. Damn, this is actually really good. I only need this to frame my trades. And then you will realize that it's way simpler than you actually think. But for you to realize that it's simple, you need to go through hell. Yeah, long YouTube videos provide a lot of ad revenue. Yeah, but that's basically the reason why they're long, for sure. 100%. Well, let's say here in this case, the 4-hour candle just closed. I would want to see price going down first, sweeping this low. Then if we can shift, it could be a good possible long. How many likes do we have? 80. Okay, so we're qualified for an advanced. That's good. We're definitely qualified for an advanced. For us to have a growth account giveaway, it's gonna be 100 likes. All right, I changed a little bit because not a lot of people stepped in, but it's gonna be 100 likes. And for us to give away a 50K lightning account, so straight to funded account, it will be 120. All right. But yeah, a lot of good questions you guys are asking, actually. I was puzzled for a long time until I realized you are displaying the replay chart. When? Oh, like on this stream? Or right now, like, because this is like I actually took it, but with one micro, I didn't really want to put a risk on after winning my trade. Yeah, a lot of good questions. Does changing the color of your candles makes you profitable? You know, when I go on Tradeify TV streams, I always get people in their chat telling me, "Yo, what are those chart colors? I'm getting blinded." And I'm like, "Bro, I can't really look at you know, a, a dark chart. I can't. I have a hard time finding my areas. Like I'm actually like I'm not good when I look at a dark chart. But when I look at a light chart, like all right, maybe because I put in so much time and I backtested so much with a light chart. Just now, and sorry if you answered this, but do you only scale up from the 1 minute if there are more than one fair value gap next to each other, or do you still check for 2 5 minute fair value? You just check. You just check every time. Let's say, let's say here you had a sell side liquidity, so you draw your zone. Let's say here there's a sell side, and you're like, all right, if I sweep the sell side, I have a gap right here, so this sell side is still in play if I can reject it perfectly because I would still be delivering from this gap. So you're like, all right, if you sweep this low, right, and then you start pushing up, even if you're looking, let's say at this leg, I would still go down to a 1, 2, 3, and 5 to make sure, okay, I'm not tapping into an unfilled 5. You know, I got to make sure of everything. It's not necessarily because there's a lot of gaps. Usually it's this. You know, if there's a lot of gaps here on the 1 minute chart, 1, 2, 3, 4, it means that there is possibly a 3 minute singular fair value gap inside this range. But, you know, just make sure to look at all the time frames just to not take an unnecessary loss. Because sometimes it will happen, you will take a trade and you will realize that you're still holding a higher time frame gap and you're going to be like, holy shit, what did I get myself into? And this is when you're not going to accept the losses, really. What do you pay attention to most on the higher time frame? Really good question. I'm going to answer you with a real answer. Okay, this is a real answer. What I'm looking for on the higher time frame is body closures. Okay, for me, body closures, wicks, opening prices. These will tell you everything you need to know. Wicks do the damage, body tells the story. If you wick a level, you wick a level. If you wick a level, it means that there's rejection. Some participants are, you know, reactive to that level in particular, you know. And if you close strongly, either above a level or below a level, then you know who's in control of the market just looking at the color of a candle. And I never want to fade that. That's really the principle behind it. I look at opening prices to tell me, oh, who's in control of the market. And once you realize what's actually going on, then you can take trades that are not against the higher time frame order flow. It's by looking at opening prices. If a candle is bearish, it's going down. Of course, you could catch plays back to the upside, right? But why would you try to catch longs right here if we're below the opening price? You know, why don't you try to catch shorts if you know sellers are heavy? So that's pretty much the basics behind those, the higher time frame. That is so true. Wait, yeah, I responded to that. That is so true. I studied for so many hours, days, months, almost a year. I feel like I went through hell. I always got punished whenever I listened to someone else. Now I realize it's not just about learning how to trade, it's about learning how I trade. Discipline, patience. Yeah. It's really about finding edge, man, at the end of the day. I'm telling you, a lot of people really think that they're unprofitable because of their psychology. And how are you going to have a good psychology if you don't win? It's impossible. You could be a monk, but we're humans at the end of the day. We're humans and we need money to live. We need to see some progress. And if you can't see that progress, of course you're going to crash out. What the fuck do you think is going to happen? It's like 1 + 1 = 2. If you have a trash edge, you will not be able to profit from that edge. So why would you blame it on psychology? So it's really about finding edge, in my opinion. Finding a real way to view price where, it actually works. Like, you need to find a way that price moves that actually works. Not that it's just... You can never assume as a person that what you see is always the truth. You always have to validate that information to make sure you're not wasting years of your life. Yeah, it's like basically trading is really hard, of course, in terms of psychology. That is undeniably like the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. But in a sense, most of y'all went through hell finding the information, finding the right information. Usually it's that. For me, it was my case. I went through hell trying to find the true information. $84 likes is gonna be an advance, guys. We are not locked in. That bug in the beginning made us crash out. It's all good. I'm gonna show y'all one thing on chat, like on the internet, and you guys will understand my point about that. But usually, like, it's hard. It's a hard thing to do, but so much more simple to handle once you have something real in your hands. You have a mentor from whom you learn. No, that's the thing. That's the thing with me, though. It's like I learned concepts, right? But concepts are not going to make you profitable because you need a strategy. It's a whole different game. Understanding concepts and, having a way, to understand, let's say, what's happening on the chart doesn't mean you're going to be profitable. What's going to make you profitable is knowing exactly when to enter, where to put your stop loss and your take profit. And over the long run, if you do the same thing over and over and over and over and over again, you have positive expected value. You cannot find those only knowing concepts. You need, a strict giveaway. If you do the giveaway, do the number guessing. Nah, bro, I know what you're gonna do. It's finished. You're gonna spam every fucking. What are you gonna do? That's the thing, though. I need a someone to mod. I need someone who bans people that spam more than one. Start giveaway, bro. Nah, bro, you gotta watch through the end, bro. You're not gonna win the giveaway. Let me spit my bars, bro. What's up with you? Or you're only here for the giveaway, man? Fuck is that? You don't care about me? Alright, say less. If you win, bro, someone else is gonna win it, Mark. Morty. I'm joking, bro, but yeah. Not an easy game. Trading is not an easy game, but the approach you need to take in order to succeed is the hard work, is what people don't want to do, usually. Is the notes. The notes, looking back at your day and be like, okay, this happened for what? Is there a correlation between this, and that? This, and that? The timing of this, it's super deep. It goes super deep. Is trading easy for you now? No. Hell no. Like, it's not easy. Not in terms of strategy. It's not easy mentally when you have an edge. That's what I mean. Because, in my opinion, let's say, if you don't have an edge, or if you're not sure that you have an edge, true positive expected value over the long run, you're not even in the game. You're not even in the discussion in the first place. And once you're in that discussion of, okay, you have edge, you have, a lot of data from your edge, and you know exactly that if you enter here, stop loss here, take profit here, you'll win over the long run. All right. Then it's hard mentally to accept the random distributions of trades without looking at the money aspect. We're humans and we're always going to be attached to the money until you have a situation in your life where you don't need any money. The best traders, in my opinion, are financially free already. If you're financially free already, you're most likely going to be the best trader, because you're not even going to think about a loss. But once you, like, if you need that money, like, actually to, feed your kids, or it's a whole different game. So trading is not, it's not easy. It's boring because I do the same thing every day. And yeah, I do the same thing every day. It's boring, but it's hard mentally. When you have an edge, it's hard mentally. But when you don't have an edge, you think it's hard mentally, but it's hard technically. If that makes sense. Can you please explain what you do by hard work? That's a good question, because hard work for me isn't, putting in like an insane amount of screen time and this and that, but hard work is good work. It's hard work for me is going in front of the chart every single day after the sessions is already finished, and look for stuff to get 1% better, or to, increase your edge over the long run. It's it's going, let's say after this day, when this day closes, you're like, all right, my strategy is this. This is what I'm looking for. And today, when we swept this low, or when this happened after. When this happened after. And these are the parameters that I'm looking for. How can I adjust things to make them better? And how can I find a correlation between two things that I didn't know of before? So once you keep doing this every single day, it's gonna take a long time. But if you do this every single day, you're gonna have so much awareness in front of the chart. You're gonna be like, holy shit, when A and B does this, then it should do this. When this and that happens, then I should react this way. And it's purely a game, in my opinion, that if someone sits, like if I, let's say, it's not a game that is unteachable. It's a game where if a real profitable trader sits in front of you and tells you, all right, when this happens, this happens, and if this happens and this happens, then it should work. That's how I view trading. It's like a lot of people think that, it's a thing that you need to be, it's unteachable. You need to have that screen time to build that intuition and stuff. That, in my opinion, that's bullshit. In my opinion, if someone gives you real edge, you will see real success. 100,000%. Because it's a game of probability. The hardest thing in the game is edge. By far. Okay, just let's say the question that you could ask yourself is like, if any strategy worked, then why is 95% of traders still failing? If they could code that strategy and make a shit ton of money. Oh, because you need discretion. Do you know that you can code discretion into an AI now? Like you cannot be better than a robot. It's impossible. Like, you could add that sense of discretion to a fucking bot. So once you understand this and you're like, oh shit, I've been lied to, not every strategy actually works. I need to, put my focus on building something real. And then you start taking the right steps to be in the game in the first place. Because if you're one of those guys who really think that psychology is what's putting you down, it could be a reason. But there's things that goes before, psychology, in my opinion. There's not a single live streamer who trades ICT and PM. What if I told you that there's not a single ICT trader that trades exactly like me? If that gives you a perspective, because I built my own strategy. I don't trade like any of them. At all. Zero. I take profit at 0.8. Do you see people do that? Hell no. I take profit before my risk is even 1-to-1. Why is that? I told you. Finding edge over the long run, if you have, 1-to-2s. I actually don't know if it's actually possible. But yeah. That's my take on all of that. I have got my edge, but I am still break even. How can I overcome that? By rethinking about what you just said. That's how you're going to overcome that. I have got my edge, but I'm still break even. How can I overcome that? Are you sure you have edge? When you journal, did you, let's say when you end up the month, are you actually profitable if you traded without emotions? If yes, then you're the problem. And most likely you have a financial situation that doesn't allow you to be profitable. So I would just grind on the side, stack enough money to be like, all right, I'm going to put my focus on trading right now. I have enough money to be okay. Whatever happens, happens. I'm fully responsible of the risk. I'm accountable to my losses, and then boom. But, you know, if you can, if you really rely on that money, let's say, it's hard, man. We're humans. Like, what? The traders are gonna say, I don't care about a win or a loss. Total cap. If you're not Bill Gates, bro, you care. You care about a win and a loss. All right. Like, it's not you care. Like, let's say I lose. I don't like. It's not that I care, but I'm not emotionless in front of it. I still have emotions towards it. I'm like, damn. A loss, I go on, but I'm still like, damn. I wanted to win. Give me my payout. Can you show how to journal trades? All right. Open a Discord with only you in it, or with your buddy that wants to grind with you. Have a folder in it. Copy paste the pictures. Write down your notes. Every single day, take notes. Try to backtest at least 5 days worth of data every single day. Do that for 3 years. You'll see where you're gonna end up. Simple as that. But what's gonna happen is, let's say you don't do this and you think a YouTube strategy will save your life, and what will most likely happen is that you will not find success. Possibly, if I would guess. Yeah, it is good. Tradezilla is really good, but it's not cheap. It's not cheap. If you don't live in the US, or you don't have, like, if you don't live in the US and you buy Tradezilla, rethink about what you're doing. And, I can't have my code with them, but I'm telling you, being completely honest, like, it's the best journaling platform by far, in my opinion. Not because it's the best journaling, it's because it has the backtesting in it. So why wouldn't you go with them, right? But yeah, if you don't have money, it's not gonna make you profitable. It's a backtesting will though. So yeah, I would say it's still a really good investment because backtesting will make you profitable. Joey, what's up, bro? How are you doing? 74 people here. That's good. 97 likes. So 3 likes away from giving away a growth account. If we're at 120 though, I'm gonna give away a 50k lightning account. So lock in, guys. Come on. Not too far away from it. Well, yeah, I saw Joey. I saw you were up almost the same amount as me today. I think you're up more than me. Yeah, the market is bleeding right now. Actually, I caught the shorts here this morning, and decided that I was not gonna put on more risk today. Got those shorts really clean, and then I saw this good long opportunity for a quick scalp back towards an unfilled 15-minute gap. After sweeping those 2 levels of sell side, but I entered one micro. I didn't want to give back money to the market today, so. You see here, that's what I like to see. When you see a big 15-minute candle right here, right, the third candle, if it's being created, once it will close, a 15-minute bearish reval gap will be formed. What does that mean? There's a lot of orders sitting inside, this unfilled gap. It has low volume in it. So if you can find signs of, bullishness once that candle closes, then it's a good long towards an unfilled gap. Let's see here, you could use that breaker back towards the unfilled gap for sure. What problems did you face when you started trading and how you overcame that? When I first started trading, I was more focused on making money than anything else. So yeah, I was in the beginning stages. Like you try to gamble your way out 100%. You take trades with super big size, and you blow hundreds of accounts. So that was the case for me. But the real struggle wasn't really to find, the real struggle for me was to find a real good strategy, because I had a lot of months where I really followed everything and I couldn't see any progress. And that's what really got me to work harder on my strategy and shift my focus towards my strategy rather than, just praying that one day will get better. So yeah, biggest problem for me was definitely my strategy in the beginning. I didn't have any good strategies. And also one big problem I had was, the information was so overwhelming. I didn't know where to start. There was so much information down there that I didn't know which strategy was the best, which mentor was the best, where should I go, should I trade, the golden pocket, so like a 61.8 retracement, should I trade inversion for value gaps, etc., etc. So this is a really good long in my opinion right here. And that breaker back towards this unfilled gap, same exact framework as the last trade. Could retrace deeper, could go for this 100%, but that breaker is a pretty good area to long from, back towards an unfilled gap. There's a lot of low volume right here. If we find buyers inside this breaker, we could create a new high. This could slip pretty aggressively also, definitely. Like these are trades where, if you're wrong, you're gonna get stopped out super fast. But that doesn't look too bad. Also, this 15-minute doesn't have any down wick, so that means that we are most likely going to pop that opening price of that 15, depending on the timing though. But yeah. What's your opinion about photon trading course by I don't know. I don't know that. I never looked at that, to be honest. Just working on my discipline and patience, everything changed for me. I stopped blowing accounts. Yeah. If you know that what you're doing works and you are just self-sabotaging, it's different. It's like, if you acknowledge that and you are the reason why you don't make money, and you have a good strategy and you have, all the data to back that fact, then yeah, these are the steps you need to take are not even on the chart. They're off the chart. Maybe finding, let's say maybe you're not in the right headspace when you trade. Maybe trying to find something that you could put more focus on outside of trading, so you could, let go of trading a little bit. You got to detach yourself from trading. If you think about trading too much once you have a strategy, that's just detrimental in my opinion. Like I already said, that if you don't have, there's two differences. If you don't have any strategies, or if you don't know exactly what you're doing, and if you're not sure if that works or not, then you should, breathe trading, like, do this every single day. But once you have your strategy and you have it nailed down, I think, thinking about trading too much and, keep backtesting and putting in so much work when you already done that, you're going to be so attached to the outcome because you're putting in so much work. uh that's basically for me. Like, I'm talking about my perspective. Once you have your strategy nailed down, it's better to just let go. It's better to just let go. That's just for me. So when I finish trading, I just, I walk out. But there is a difference. Like, if you're not in that situation yet, and if you don't have the hard proof behind your strategy, then you should put in way more work. But after that, it's really a mental battle for sure. How many years did you take to become profitable? Good question. Because can you count the years where you were not all in? Because let's say for me, the first time I touched trading content, and let's say I started taking notes and stuff, was back in super early 2022. And yeah, 2022. But I wasn't all in on that at all. So, and also you count the moment, like all the time that I was, trading bullshit and, strategy hopping and not doing the right stuff. But let's say if you talk about the moment I was taking the right steps towards the goal, took me around 2 years. Why did you choose the premium zone over the discount? Because there's two breakers. If you always wait for the discount to be tapped in, how many trades are you going to take in a year? Zero. Like, let's say in the breaker like this, the upper portion of that breaker will most likely always deliver back to the high rather than 50%. I'd rather get stopped out if price retraces that deep than waiting and not get picked up on a trade that is most likely going to be a winner. You see that 15-minute candle? It didn't have any down wick when we pulled down. You see? So right now we hit this gap in this breaker, pulled up, created the up wick. So we created the up wick of that 15-minute candle, and right now it's displacing down, so it doesn't look too good. But let's say framework wise, you have a 15-minute unfilled gap right now. Of course, it could resweep and be a fake out, but knowing that there's so many orders right here ready to get filled, the liquidity concept, if you're using the liquidity concept, you have way more chances of hitting this internal gap than this low, by far. Powerful thing in ICT is the breaker block. Yeah, I would say breaker block is the 1 minute confirmation, let's say, that gives you the most amount of information order flow wise. This and inversions, inversions on NQ, only on NQ. But yeah, inversions and breakers are, so breakers in my opinion, sorry, like I'm actually tweaking, but breakers are a better version of order blocks, and inversion fair value gaps are a better version of fair value gaps. They're because there are failed PD arrays. A breaker is a failed order block that turns into a new one, and an inversion fair value gap is a failed fair value gap that turns into a new one also. So you have that that concept of covering inside the framework. But only using the breaker is not enough. 100%, it's not enough. You need more context. You need the reason why price would respect that breaker. Let's say in this case, it's such a good trade in my opinion. Why? Because you have an unfilled gap. If your job, let's say if you go in every single day trying to find those unfilled gaps, and the reason why we held the breaker right here and not in other cases, you will see why it's so powerful to wait for those confirmations, like to wait for an unfilled gap to be created to then, try to snap back that high. See here, the target got hit again, but it's the same exact trade that I took here with 1 micro. It's the same trade. We have an unfilled 15-minute gap. We're rejecting sell side. What has more chances of happening? Hitting the gap. Why would I go back towards the low? It could happen. All right, I'm just going to take a loss. But we have way more chances of, holding this breaker because we have an unfilled gap. If we didn't have any unfilled gaps here and we had a market structure shift, I would have been waiting for price to create more structure. Why? I don't have enough confidence to only long that breaker blindly. I already took my trade today, so I could have answered with 1 micro, but what's the point? To make $20 on that. Okay, after I found the strategy, how much time did it take me? It took me oh, that's a good question. It took me 1 year because I was not gathering data the right way. That's a really good question. One thing I did, and I don't regret it, but one thing I did was, not taking backtesting seriously in the beginning, lying to myself. And I know so many of you guys are doing the same thing, and it's gonna bite you in the ass, and you cannot cheat this game. Like I said, if you don't take backtesting serious, you will have you will take so many unnecessary losers, and you will not have the confidence to go through big loss streaks. You will start thinking that your edge is bad because you don't have the right data. In your data, you lied to yourself. You were like, okay, when this happens, okay, no, I wouldn't have taken this trade because of that. And then in the live market, you don't give a shit about what happened in the backtesting because you lied. And then once it's gonna happen, then and you lose, let's say 3-4 trades in a row, you're not going to accept those losses. You're like, oh, in backtesting I had a 95% win rate, but right now I took 3 losses in a row. Never happened to me. Guess what? You didn't take the backtesting seriously. Backtesting is exactly the same thing as being there, as if you was there in the last years. Exactly the same thing. When I talk about backtesting, I don't talk about, freestyling in front of the chart. I'm talking about real deep work, validating something, validating a thesis about, okay, I'm going to enter here, stop loss here, take profit here every time. And my trade always look the same. And I don't try to add some bullshit discretion inside of my system just to reassure me that I have edge when I don't have one. All right. Delusion kills so many people in this game. It's crazy. Like, it's crazy. When you say right way, can you elaborate? What do you mean? What do you mean right way? The right way of backtesting? The right way of backtesting, I already told you. Like, you got to take notes of everything and find correlations that you didn't hear on YouTube. You need to find something. Like I said, yeah, I'm not gonna get into deep into that, but because you're gonna start tweaking now. But which account is better to start from the beginning when we have an edge? Like that. Oh shit. I would say 50K Lightning account, because you don't need to pass any evals, and if you have edge, why would you know, spit on that money that you could have made only just to pass an eval? That's an opportunity cost. Instead of passing an eval, just, get funded immediately. Do you trade with? Nah, I don't trade with them. I don't trade with any other firms than Tradeify. Best firm in the game, Tradeify by far. Code Moss for the highest discount. This is what funds those giveaways. How many are we? 103 likes. Growth account giveaway. Come on. I'm gonna do the giveaway right now. Actually, enough yapping for today. We're 78 though. Like that's pretty good. That's pretty good. That's pretty good, guys. But hopefully, um, I'm not giving y'all some, traumatic experience listening to me. I'm just being super honest with y'all. It's like that's just my point of view. I could, I could debate with someone else that don't have the same point of view, and I would agree with a lot of things that he says. But one person that I really look up to are two people in this game, and it's Lens, okay, Lens, the stock trader, and I look at also Umar a lot, and you will see that the way that they think is really close to the way that I think. And these are most likely the best in the game. So, yeah. So just to wrap this up, like in terms of trades that I really liked today, um, when we swept sell side, we had this unfilled 15-minute fair value gap right here that you could have scalped using a breaker. Again here, unfilled 15-minute gap right there created by this candle close, and then right here scalp back into this unfilled 15-minute gap. Really good trade. Once you enter inside this gap and inside this order block, you have a 1-minute inverse right here, so you could you could decide to take that short back for a 1-to-1, still respecting the framework on YouTube that I showed. What else? Really liked also, the range bound plays here in the beginning of the day. So there was the nice short right here on that 2-minute. I really liked it. You had a breaker, so a change in the state of delivery. This is what we talked about earlier. If you don't close below the lowest wick here, in this case, this would confirm a breaker. But if you close below the opening prices of the last series of, down close candle before the sweep, then this is a change in the state of delivery plus that inverse, that V signature, because it's the fourth candle that that disrespect the gap, and then it was a nice short for a 1-to-1 back towards that sell side. So this was a good plays for today. Really good opportunities using similar frameworks. So gaps are areas where you can target and areas where you can find bounces from. All right. Imagine if you go into every single day, marking those things out and understanding when you're gonna lose and when you're gonna win on those setups. This is gonna make a huge difference. Lens, it's LANCE. These inverse value gaps seem hard to get entries on lately. Yeah, this is a concept in trading. You need to adapt to those market conditions. It's not always going to be limit orders. Sometimes it's going to be market orders, and the people that will be able to adapt to those small changes in market conditions will be the one outperforming you for sure. And it's still a risk, taking new let's say new approaches for your entry models. It's hard. It's most likely the hardest thing. Can you drop their YouTube names? It's Lance Bryston and Umar Ashraf. Nah, I'm doing the giveaway right now. It's 111 likes. Unfortunately, y'all were sleeping in the beginning, which resulted in us only giving away a growth account. That's tough. Oh, hell no, bro. GG's. But yeah, unfortunately, today I'm going to give away 50K growth account to a lucky guy here. So let's start. Let me go here. All right. let me share this screen. Tradeify journal. Oh shit. Yeah. So am I tripping? Oh shit, yeah. Gotta take this off, then gotta take this off. All right. So for the giveaway, the word will be the word will be are you going through ICT 2025 mentorship? No. I'm done. I'm done with adding information to my strategy, bro. But I really truly think, like, Joey, to be honest, truly believe that the best concepts that ICT ever give us, let's say to simplify the trading so much, is unfilled gaps. Okay, unfilled fair value gaps, liquidity, inversions, breakers, and SMT divergence. Like with those, um, in my opinion, like if like I know you're really good, you're a really good trader, of course. I don't know if you're trading ICT. I don't. I think you're trading more the IB and stuff. So, but like for the new people, I really believe in terms of ICT concept, you don't necessarily need something else than that. So the word is a must. And yeah, since Joey's here, now you know what? The word will not be a must. The word will be Joey. I'm not gonna lie. Word is Joey. Come on. All right. Since he's in the chat, the word to be here in this giveaway is Joey. All right. Just to give him a shout out. So type Joey in the chat, and since you're there, go subscribe to his channel. He's the GOAT. Really, really good trader. Also part of the team, part of my team. So come on, spam Joey in the chat for a 50K growth account giveaway. As soon as we're around around 100, then I'm gonna start the giveaway. All right. Spam Joey and go subscribe to his channel. Make sure you guys are subscribed to my channel because your vote has 50% more chances of hitting if you're subscribed. And if I see that you're not subscribed and you won, I'm not gonna do the giveaway anymore, bro. I'm not giving away the account. I'm gonna give away to someone else. So how many are we right now? 95 or 93. 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Make sure you guys are all subscribed to my channel and Joey's channel. So boom, come on. Lock in, lock in. It's relaxation. Come on. You just won the 50K growth. You have 54 seconds to type in the chat. And make sure you have your email in your YouTube description. So I'm going to give you the account by email. All right. Rugged. You have 37 seconds to type in the chat, my brother. All right, you typed. See you. So good job, guys. I appreciate you guys so much for showing love every single time on my stream. Make sure that you trade with Tradeify if you want to use a prop firm. By far the best prop firm in the game. Use code AMOS for the highest discounts for sure. And you're going to also have a higher win rate if you use my code. You guys already know. And yeah, if you use my code, this is what funds the giveaway. So yeah, I appreciate you guys so much. Again, I'm going to be live tomorrow at 1 p.m. again, okay, for a live stream. live trading stream, and see you guys there. Peace out, guys. Much love.